Every 12 minutes, another American family farm loses a year's income to wild boars, forcing farmers to hire military helicopters in a 2,200 per hour war they know they can't win. Right now, 6 million of these 700-pound monsters are systematically destroying $219,000 worth of crops every 24 hours across Louisiana alone. That's enough to feed 500 families for a month, vanishing overnight.
Nós estamos tentando com os caçadores, mas é uma burocracia para eles virem até na fazenda, é difícil eles virem aqui.
These aren't just pests. They're biological weapons multiplying faster than rabbits, smarter than most hunting dogs, and turning generational farmland into wasteland. But here's what will shock you. The only thing standing between total agricultural collapse and your dinner table isn't the government, high-tech solutions. It's farmers spending their life savings on military-style aerial assaults. Stay until the end, because when you see what these farmers sacrifice every single day just to hold onto land their grandfathers cleared with bare hands, you'll understand why this fight is about more than crops. It's about survival itself. The scale of destruction defies comprehension. Wild boars, these 700-pound behemoths, aren't just nibbling at crop edges. They're systematically annihilating entire harvests, attacking livestock with terrifying aggression, and causing that staggering $80 million in annual damage across Louisiana alone. But here's where traditional thinking hits a wall. The Louisiana Department of Agriculture has tried everything. Net traps that cost thousands to deploy, electric fences stretching for miles, hunting dogs trained for generations. Yet these methods move at the speed of the last century while boars reproduce at the pace of the digital age. What separates aerial hunting from these ground-based approaches isn't just effectiveness. It's the only method matching the enemy's multiplication rate. But the real cost isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in something far more precious. The financial reality would shock most taxpayers. Each helicopter sortie burns through $2,200 per hour. That's fuel, maintenance, professional crew salaries, and specialized equipment. When I write that check for helicopter time, explains David, a pilot-turned-farmer who now hires his former colleagues, I'm basically choosing between my kids' college fund and keeping the farm alive. Last month alone, we spent $18,000 on aerial hunting. That's not sustainable, but neither is losing everything to these monsters. Consider the hidden dangers nobody discusses. Mid-air collisions when pilots drop too low chasing herds. Mechanical failures over remote swampland. The nightmare scenario of a stray bullet finding livestock. Or worse, a farmhand working the fields. These aren't theoretical risks, they're daily calculations in this aerial chess match. The first shot would reveal something nobody expected. The helicopter's rotors slice through Louisiana's humid morning air. Below, the evidence spreads like a crime scene. Soil churned into muddy chaos, crops flattened as if a tornado touched down, months of careful cultivation destroyed overnight. Ryan, our pilot with 12 years threading helicopters through Louisiana's treacherous airspace, spots them first. 18 wild boars gathered at the forest edge like an invasion force planning their next assault. His hands, steady from thousands of hours at these controls, guide the aircraft into attack position. The precision required here defies belief. Ethan, the lead marksman, operates in a different dimension of focus. Shooting from a moving platform at moving targets requires calculating wind speed, rotor wash, trajectory, and the split-second timing of a boar's gait. His rifle cracks 4 times in rapid succession. 4 boars drop. But then something unprecedented happens. Instead of scattering in panic, as biology dictates, the herd executes a tactical maneuver, charging directly into the densest thicket where no helicopter can follow. These aren't the same animals our grandfathers hunted. What happens next will show you why farmers call this the most stressful week of the year. Let me tell you what people don't understand, says Marcus, a third-generation Louisiana farmer watching from below. When that helicopter appears over my fields, it's not about sport or excitement. It's about whether my family eats next month. These boars, they can destroy 6 months of work in 3 hours. I've seen grown men cry watching their cornfields disappear overnight. You calculate every kernel, every row, knowing that a single herd can mean the difference between sending your kids to college or selling the farm that's been in your family since 1887. The river corridor presents a different battlefield entirely. Wild boars, displaying learned behavior that would impress military tacticians, use the waterways as highways and drinking spots, timing their movements to avoid the heat. And helicopters. What most observers miss is the intelligence at work here. As rotor noise echoes across the water, the lead boars, not randomly but systematically, signal the herd. They bolt forward like high-powered motorcycles, as one spotter describes, while others fade into shadows with practiced precision. This forces our crew into fuel-burning circles, each pass costing hundreds of dollars while the clock ticks toward darkness. The visibility challenge compounds everything. Dense canopy, shifting shadows, and terrain that seems designed to hide 700-pound animals. If they reach the forest and they know exactly where it is, thousands of dollars in fuel and time evaporate into failure. Which region are you watching this video from? Drop your location in the comments below. We'd love to know where our Tech Motion community is tuning in from today. But timing this next move perfectly requires something most people never consider. The emergency call crackles through. Massive herd active in the Morrison cornfield. In mere hours, these biological bulldozers could erase what local families spent 6 months cultivating. The helicopter banks hard, racing against destruction. In 30 seconds, everything would change. Every region has its monster, but Louisiana's is real. The Boar Lord, 705 pounds of muscle, intelligence, and survival instinct, leads the largest herd anyone's seen in decades. This isn't just another animal. It's survived multiple hunts, evaded sophisticated traps, and learned helicopter patterns. Ryan drops the aircraft to treetop level, rotor blades meters from disaster. In the cockpit, combat-level coordination unfolds. 9 o'clock. There! Ethan spots the massive silhouette moving with impossible speed for something that size. Then comes the moment that defines everything. The Boar Lord stops, turns, stands its ground and roars. Not in fear, but in challenge, as if understanding this is the showdown years in the making. In that moment, Ethan later recalls, staring down at this beast that's terrorized farmers for years, my hands shaking from adrenaline, I understood this wasn't just hunting. This was David versus Goliath. Except Goliath had 30 family members, and we were burning 30 a minute just hovering there. A rogue gust rocks the helicopter. The shot goes wide. The beast vanishes into green darkness, its herd following like trained soldiers. Ryan makes the call that could end in triumph or tragedy. Lower, closer. Rotor wash, flattening grass, creating a storm of debris. 25 minutes of pursuit that burns fuel like throwing money into flames. Then the clearing. The shot. The collapse of 705 pounds that won't terrorize another harvest. The team roars in victory, but smaller boars scatter into the underbrush. The war isn't over, it's barely begun. Yet even with all this preparation, the biggest challenge still lies ahead. People ask why we can't just wipe them out, explains Tom, a wildlife management specialist who's spent 20 years on this problem. Here's what they don't understand. A single sow can produce 20 piglets annually. They have no natural predators. They adapt to every strategy we deploy. We're not fighting animals anymore. We're fighting an evolutionary force that learns faster than we can innovate. Every farmer knows this truth. We're not winning, we're just slowing down our losing. The government promises solutions while farmers mortgage their futures for helicopter time. Each sunrise brings multiplication, more boars, more damage, more desperate measures. But Louisiana's war is just one front. 3 states north, Tennessee farmers discovered that everything we thought we knew about fighting boars was wrong. The nightmare isn't contained to Louisiana. Tennessee farmers face their own November catastrophe as corn harvest coincides with peak boar destruction. Entire communities watch helplessly as nocturnal invasions destroy not just crops, but contaminate water sources, stress livestock into illness, and push multi-generational family farms toward bankruptcy. I've been farming this land for 40 years, says Jim, a Tennessee corn farmer, his weathered hands gripping his rifle. My grandfather fought in World War II, came home and built this farm with those same hands. Now I'm fighting my own war, except the enemy reproduces faster than we can count them. Some nights I don't sleep, just listening for the sounds of destruction. You hear them coming, that grunting, snorting sound, and you know by morning, another field will be gone. What would you do if your family's survival depended on winning an unwinnable war? While Louisiana fights from the sky, Tennessee farmers discovered a different truth on the ground. If you found this video fascinating and worth watching, comment 1 below. If not, be honest, comment 0. Dawn breaks over Tennessee valleys as a different kind of warrior takes the field. Local hunters, many trained by fathers and grandfathers, mount ATVs for close quarters combat that helicopters can't provide. Within 10 minutes, contact. A charging boar, 300 pounds of momentum that bullets barely slow. The biological reality is staggering. These opportunistic omnivores, originally brought by Spanish explorers in the 1400s as food, now represent an ecological apocalypse. Their impact extends beyond farms into global consequences we're only beginning to understand. But when darkness falls, the real test begins. After 30 years hunting these demons, I'll tell you when we have the advantage, shares Mike, a Tennessee hunter whose family farm survives because of his skill. Nighttime. They feel safe in the dark, forage in groups, drop their guard, but shooting in darkness when you can barely see your hand? That's not hunting, that's pure instinct refined by decades of failure and success. You learn to shoot by sound, by the reflection in their eyes, by the way grass moves. Every shot counts because missing means they learn, adapt, and come back smarter. The tactical evolution continues through darkness. Thermal scopes cutting through blackness. Sound discipline where even breathing matters. Reading wind patterns by the cold on your cheek. When that 330-pound alpha emerges from shadows, leading dozens of destructive followers, the moment stretches into eternity. Breath held. Trigger squeezed with religious devotion to precision. The crack of gunfire, the thud of impact. But for every one dropped, statistics suggest 10 more are born tonight across America. The pressure of this decision weighs heavily, especially when you understand what comes next. Should we be celebrating these kills, or mourning that we've created an ecological disaster requiring such extreme measures? The hunters know the answer. This isn't about glory, but survival. Not just for farms, but for the ecosystems these invasive predators are dismantling. As dawn breaks again over scarred fields and exhausted hunters, the mathematics remain merciless. Annual agricultural damage exceeds 500 million nationally, though experts suspect the real number doubles that. Every eliminated boar represents temporary relief, not victory. They reproduce faster than bullets fly. They adapt quicker than strategies evolve. They're winning through sheer biological determination. The sun sets on another battlefield, but tomorrow brings a new front. Because what these farmers do next will determine whether American agriculture survives. What you've witnessed today reveals a profound truth. Sometimes the greatest battles for survival happen in silence, fought by ordinary people whose names you'll never know. These farmers and hunters aren't warriors by choice. They're guardians by necessity, protecting not just crops, but the very foundation of American food security. Every helicopter that rises at dawn, every risky shot taken from the sky represents a family betting everything on one more season. The next time food reaches your table, remember the invisible war being waged to make it possible. But Louisiana's aerial assault is just the beginning. Click the video on your screen right now to discover how farmers across America are fighting back against millions of wild hogs with tactics so extreme, so desperate, that even seasoned hunters call them insane. The battle you're about to see will change everything you thought you knew about American farming.